Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are doing good. First of all, I want to say a very big thank you to all of you. The response and the engagement to my why I left Paystack video was very massive. Thank you so much guys for watching that video. And I am truly grateful for all the engagement, the comments, the likes, the reshares. And if you haven't seen that video, not to worry, I'm going to put a link to the video in the description. So make sure to watch it. And also a big shout out to everyone that has tuned in to my interview with Marvelous. The comments and the engagement was amazing and I really appreciate that. And also don't forget that I am always open to suggestions on how to improve that kind of video. And if you haven't seen that video, I'll also drop the link to that video in the description. All right, so let's dive into today's topic. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my interview experience at Amazon. If you've listened to a few of my videos, I often mention that I have interviewed at Amazon before, but I've never shared the details of that interview. So after sharing the details of my interview at Paystack, I thought it would also make sense for me to share the details of my interview at Amazon. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the journey and also let you know whether I got an offer or not. You can take a guess, and at the end of the video, you would know whether you guessed right or not. So let's dive into it. So guys, I'm going to try to make this video as short as possible. I'm just going to pick the important details to share and leave out all the unnecessary information. So I hope you enjoyed this, and please let me know if this approach makes sense so I can use this for the subsequent videos. So in 2022, I think it was around June or July, I received an email from a recruiter from Amazon asking if I would be interested in joining Amazon Canada as a software engineer. This opportunity I was being offered was for an L5 role. And to give you context, the engineering ladder at Amazon starts at L4. L4 is for junior engineers, L5 is for mid-level, and L6 is for senior, and L7 is for like more senior engineers. So I was asked to come interview for an L5 role. And honestly, at that time, I always imagined that if I got a shot at a FAANG company, I would have gone for a junior role, at least to get my foot in the door. But here I was with a mid-level opportunity. So yes, I got that email and I was initially shocked that, okay, I'm being considered for this kind of role. And yes, I responded and I said I was interested. So at the time, this was what the process looked like. Number one is the application. Number two is you getting an online assessment test. Number three is a phone call interview. The number four is a preparation call for the last interview. And then the last stage is obviously the last interview. So the recruiter sent me a link to the online assessment test along with a preparation guide. And I had 1 week to complete it. Now, I didn't have to prepare so much for this because earlier that year, I also interviewed with Google, which is a story for another video, by the way. So because of this, I was very comfortable with DSA questions. And by DSA, I mean data structures and algorithms. So for the online assessment, there were 3 questions. 2 of them were fairly easy, so I was able to complete those ones easily. But the third one was of a medium difficulty. So I spent some time on that, but I was also able to get that done. So not long after I completed the online assessment, I think it was about 3 days after, I got an email from the recruiter telling me that I passed the assessment test and I was ready for the phone call interview. So we scheduled the phone screen interview. So the phone screen interview usually takes about 45 minutes. And the whole idea is to go over your experience, your background, and also to go over some basic computer science concepts. So there is no coding required at this particular stage. Honestly, I felt prepared for this stage because, I didn't lie on my resume and I was very much ready to defend my experience. So the day for the phone call interview came and we had it. I think she asked some questions about arrays, about linked lists, and about how to implement certain algorithms using certain data structures. But all in all, the phone call interview went smoothly. And at the end of the interview, she said something I didn't expect. She said she really enjoyed the conversation and she would be moving me to the final round. Now, the final stage is called the online on-site interview. Some people also call it the loop. The reason why it's called the loop is because you have a series of recurring interviews. Each interview lasts 45 to 50 minutes. Pretty intense, right? So before I was asked to schedule the final interview, I had a preparation call with my recruiter. During this preparation call, the recruiter shared some tips with me on how to prepare for the final interviews. She told me about the leadership principles of Amazon. If you've interviewed at Amazon or you've researched about their interviews, you should know about the 12 leadership principles. So she told me about those and the ones I should focus on for my role and for my department. So for the role I was being interviewed for, I was going to have 4 interviews, 3 coding interviews, and 1 system design interview. And for each of these interviews, there is usually a behavioral section where they will ask you questions that pertain to the leadership principles. So I was asked to prepare stories that basically depict how I've been able to showcase each of those leadership principles in my past experience. Now, the tricky part was that you must have a different story to tell for each time they ask you a behavioral question. Now, the funny thing is that it's even possible for some of these interviewers to repeat certain behavioral principle related questions. So for instance, one of the leadership principles is customer obsession. If during your first interview you were asked a question around customer obsession and you gave a particular story, if another interviewer asked you a question that is related to customer obsession, you can't give the same response you gave in the first interview. So I was advised to have at least 2 stories for each of the leadership principles. And I remember I had to really rack my brain, dig into my past experience to be able to dig out these stories, because obviously you don't want to lie during your interview. And one other thing that actually helped me was that my recruiter asked me to send her a list of those stories that I've created. And she was able to review the stories and make some corrections. And she also gave me advice on what to remove and what to add. I would say that was really helpful. So finally, I was asked to schedule my final interview, and I scheduled the interviews a month away. This is so that I can have enough time to prepare for these interviews. During this 1 month, I paid for Lead Code Premium. This is so that I can get some questions that are specifically asked by Amazon. And also, one other thing I did to prepare was to have a series of mock interviews with a friend of mine that I met on Pram. This friend of mine is an Indian. He works at Atlassian and is very good with data structures and algorithm questions. He's also great when it comes to system design interviews. So I had a good number of mock interview sessions with him, and he was able to provide feedback for me on how to get better. I remember the first mock system design interview we did, I totally failed. I didn't do well at all. Now, fast forward to the interview day. All 4 interviews were scheduled to happen on the same day. I mean, for some people, you can actually decide to split them, have 2 on a different day and have the remaining 2 on another day. But I decided to have all 4 interviews in one day. So like I said earlier, I was going to have 3 coding interviews and 1 system design interview. The coding questions were not that easy, but also they were not so difficult. So I remember one of those coding questions was graph related. So I remember I had to use breadth first search to solve that. And then another question was about object-oriented programming. I think I was supposed to build a particular system using OOP. And then the third question, I can't remember exactly what the question was, but one thing I remember vividly is that it was a medium difficulty coding question straight out of LeetCode. And for the system design, I was asked to design a biometric access system for Amazon offices worldwide. Honestly, it was quite intense, but I was able to finish all interviews feeling good about my performance. And then a few hours later, I think it was like 3 hours after, I got an email from my recruiter asking to meet up the following day to share feedback about my interview. Honestly, I didn't feel good about that email because it didn't seem like a good sign. I thought that it would take some time for the interviewers to gather together and make a decision about me. I mean, what can you get done in 3 hours? So with all this going through my head, I was already sweating. I was looking for answers. So I went searching. I went online on Glassdoor to search for people's interview experiences at Amazon. I think I spent about 1 hour, and finally I saw an interview experience that was very similar to mine. This guy was also interviewed for an L5, and his recruiter also reached out like a few hours after his interview. But then in his own situation, he was down leveled to an L4 because he didn't do that well for an L5. So they gave him an offer for L4 instead of L5. So I said to myself, the worst thing that can happen is that last they will down level me to an L4, but I'll still be at Amazon. So the next day came, the meeting was scheduled for 3 p.m. And honestly, let me tell you, right from the beginning of the day up to 3 p.m., I was not productive because that meeting was all that was on my mind. So 3 p.m. came and I opted on the call. Honestly, I was shocked when the recruiter said that I passed my interviews. She said that all the interviewers loved me and they will be moving forward with an offer for an L5 role. Honestly, I was dumbfounded. I was so excited. I wanted to shout, but of course, I had to maintain my cease and composure. So I just kept my cool and I was like, okay, until the end of that call. So that's it, guys. My experience interviewing at Amazon. And yes, I got an offer. And yes, I know you are probably asking, why am I not at Amazon right now? I'm going to leave that story for another video. And also let me know if you want me to share some details about the offer I got at Amazon. I'm not sure I can share everything, but I will try to share as much as I can. But drop a comment if you want me to share that detail. So make sure to stay tuned to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do that right now. Turn on the notification bell so you will know when I release a new video. Like the videos, share the videos, and also drop your comment. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking around until now. I hope it was worth your time. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, keep believing, keep growing, and keep glowing. Peace.